Oh, hello, welcome back. It's time to... That's right, we're going to court. Sometimes I have to fire up my brain and figure out where we're at here, but... We are on a... Hi, Rika. Rika, are you okay? Ha! Do you even need to ask? Of course I'm not okay! This place is crawling with knights and nobles! I understand your reservations, but there's nothing to worry about. You're just here to watch the trial. I really appreciate you coming to testify, Miss Tudor. I can imagine it's difficult for you to return here again. What? My apologies. Perhaps I've said too much. Let's just get this over with. Oh. Something's happened. Court is now in session for the trial of Stefanik Dracogen. The prosecution is ready, Your Honor. The defense is also ready. Very well. Prosecutor Steelwind, could you please list the charges? Stefanik Dracogen is the owner of Dracogen Trading Company, located in the city of Auranax. His company has many business ventures in Auranax and Ratholm, but his business is most known for the production of artificery devices. Ah, I thought I recognized the name. I'm quite pleased with my Dracogen brand dishwasher. Be that as it may, Your Honor, Mr. Dracogen is charged with criminal negligence resulting in death. The accident occurred within the Auranax Arcane refinery owned by his company. The victim, just in the way, was leaned against a damaged guardrail, causing it to break. As a result, he fell into a vat of volatile chemicals. Attempts were made to save him, but by the time they could neutralize the vat, he was already dead. That's certainly a very gruesome way to go. The defendant displayed clear negligence in maintaining the refinery's facilities. As such, the responsibility for Mr. Way's death, I keep wanting to read that as Wayne, falls to him. Your Honor, this case isn't nearly as mundane as the prosecution is making it out to be. Justin Wayne didn't fall into the vat because of a faulty guardrail. He fell because he was pushed off the vat catwalk by an arcane spell. Mr. Cuthbert, are you trying to say that the victim was murdered? One of the witnesses claims they saw a spell hit Mr. Wade before he fell into the vat. However, that testimony is completely contradicted by the lack of magical traces found anywhere near the catwalk. If you're so confident, Steelwind, why don't we bring said witness onto the stairs so she can testify herself? I don't know if Rika's nearly confident enough to get through this. Fine, let's hear what she has to say. I'm sure you know that even she has no idea what she saw. Witness, please state your name and occupation for the courtroom. Do the Judy shit, do the Judy shit. Seemed to be okay, but she looked pretty nervous in the lobby. I only hope that this wouldn't be too much for her. So you seek the title of the Deathbringer songstress. Scale Lord. Was she seriously gonna do that here? What? Lie between life and death, heaven and hell. None are worthy of my name, so consider this a courtesy. I am RIKA Tudor, Major Evocation and the Ashen Lord of Auranax. I wasn't aware that Arcane had a title like that. This world really has changed a lot in recent years. Your Honor, the witness is a business owner in Auranax. She runs a cafe. Why would the Ashen Lord of Auranax run a cafe? I ask myself the same question every day. Rika, could you please not do this right now? Just be cool, okay? Justified. She deserves a little chuny as a treat. Miss Tudor, can you please testify about what you saw at the refinery this morning? I think we could all do without the verbal flourishes. Fine. I was delivering food to Justin that morning, but I didn't see him anywhere in the freight area. Looking for him and spotted him on the catwalk. It looked like he was talking to someone. That's when I saw a flash of magical light. Justin got blasted by a spell. It was the part of the guardrail he was leaning on, and he fell into that vat of chemicals. I told one of the workers what happened. They tried to save him, but I guess it was too late. Well, I'm sure Mr. Cuthbert has told you this, witness, but we didn't find any traces of magic near the catwalk. I know what I saw. Someone definitely used magic on him. She seemed very sure of that. She definitely wasn't lying. still couldn't figure out why there weren't any traces of magic there. There was something off about something she said. I wasn't sure what. Mr. Cuthbert, you may begin your cross-examination. Hold it. Is he normally in the freight area when you make your deliveries? Yeah, but I guess he was doing something in the refinery. According to Dracogen, the victim only worked in the freight department. Definitely wasn't doing his job when he was in the refinery building. Do you have any idea why he was there? I don't know. He didn't talk much about what he did, so I just assumed he was supposed to be there. Hold it. Did you see who he was talking to? No, they were too high up, and the catwalk was blocking them. They looked kind of angry. He also looked a little scared. What? Do you think he was talking to the thief? I might have spotted them robbing my client's office. Uh-oh. That is purely speculation on your part, Mr. Cuthbert. At the very least, you'd need a witness to even entertain that theory. The current witness didn't see who the victim was talking to. I'm compelled to agree, Miss Steelman. Fair. We are jumping the gun. Have you been able to figure out what kind of spell he got hit with? No. Been thinking, but I've never seen a spell like that. My expertise is in evocation magic. That spell looked completely different from the spells I can cast. May I remind the court that the Inquisition found no traces of evocation magic at the scene of Mr. Way's death. Did we pick up any spells? No. An evocation couldn't have ripped that guardrail apart, which can only mean a spell from a different school of magic broke it. Or the witness is simply grieving and doesn't remember what happened. We have records that show that the guardrail was damaged and in need of repair. My client's contractors assured him that the damage wasn't severe. If the guardrail broke apart anyway. If you want to posit that a spell broke the guardrail, you'll have to prove it. This must be difficult for you, but can you remember any more details about the moment Justin fell? Because I need to know what details you want. What did it look like? Any detail might help us identify it. I don't know. I only saw it for a second. It didn't look like an explosion or anything. It looked more like an expanding prism. A prism? Yeah. With these stark, sharp edges like a cube. It was wider than it was tall. Witness, could you add the detail to your testimony? Okay. Why did they try to save him? The chemicals that the victim fell into were extremely volatile and corrosive. They poured a neutralizing solution into the vat to keep it from eating away at any implement they used to fish him out. The downside of this process was that it took far too long before they could remove the victim. I thought those chemicals were just toxic. Are you telling me those dissolved him while he was still alive? I winced. I really wanted to avoid letting her find out about that. Perhaps we should move on. Thank you, Judge. Our testimony is the best piece of evidence we have. Is it a good idea to find a contradiction in it? But she doesn't know what happened. If there's something nagging at me, we can find it and it will put us one step closer to the truth. You say so. I just need to look at the details she's testifying about and find out what doesn't fit. Okay. Any more details? How did it affect Justin? What did the spell do to Justin? How did it affect him? That flash of light, it looked like he lost his balance. Tried to catch himself on the guardrail, but it was already broken apart. Fell right into the vat of chemicals. the spell do to the guardrail? Like I said, it ripped apart the guardrail. How did it do that, though? Did the spell slowly break it apart? No, it happened instantly. It's kind of like what happens when you pull a rubber band so hard it snaps. So the spell broke the guardrail instantly. It's been some kind of instantaneous effect. You already know that there weren't any traces of evocation on the catwalk. What kind of spell did the mage use? Represent this here?
Objection!
False. Zach. Your Honor, it's clear that the witness's testimony is contradictory. This piece of evidence proves it. Oh, I fail to say that proves anything, Mr. Cuthbert. Oh, I guess you're right. Conjuration?
Objection!
False. I suppose that isn't actually related to this, but is it the device? The device that does things?
Objection!
False. Okay, this took me way longer than I expected to figure out. How did it affect him? But it kind of makes sense. Yes. Arya just kind of dots us here. Ripped apart the guardrail, he tried to catch himself on it and fell into the vat of chemicals. But I was also thinking, why did we have her exact testimony here, but then blasted with some sort of spell that took the shape of a Hispanic prism, destroyed the guardrail, and pushed Justin into the vat?
Objection!
She has technically contradicted herself. Rika, there's something off about her testimony. It's a weak point, but... weak point in that she's very clearly nervous, but... we'll see where it goes. Really? It's the same as what I told you before. The mistake was mine. So focused on trying to figure out what the spell was and who cast it. Didn't even think about what it actually did to Justin. This whole time we assumed the spell pushed him into the vat. How could it have pushed him into the vat when he only fell after the guardrail had been ripped apart? Oh, that's actually... what? Okay, you said that Justin fell because he tried to catch himself on the guardrail. I thought the spell had pushed Justin while simultaneously ripping the guardrail apart. It didn't push Justin at all. I guess that makes sense, but does that really change anything? Oh, I kind of like how that's implemented. I kind of like how that's been implemented. It's not a, you contradicted yourself. It's a, I hastily wrote down your testimony wrong and didn't think about that part. I actually really like that. That's a really understated, sensitive bit of writing there. We are friends. I'm not going to call you out on contradicting yourself. I didn't elaborate on this part. I didn't consider this part of what you said until you said it here in detail on the record. It does. It raises another question. The spell produced enough force to rip the guardrail apart. Why didn't it appear to affect Justin at all?
Jackson!
It didn't appear to affect the victim because there was no spell. Justin Wade broke the guardrail because it was faulty. No, I saw it. He only fell in because the guardrail was already destroyed. Your Honor, the defense brought this witness to testify, only to contradict it during their own cross-examination. They have no case. My witness is certain that she saw the spell destroy the guardrail. She witness is a business associate of the defendant. She clearly has every reason to lie in her testimony. Smack. So you're basically accusing my witness of perjury, Steelwind? I am. Oof. It's not as if this is her first time breaking the law. What? Miss Tudor, I understand that you run a cafe in the food district. The cafe would not exist without the generous patronage of the defendant. Yeah, but you're quite indebted to him. After all, he saved you from the kind of life you lived before. Rika, what is she talking about? Oh, boy. You truly didn't know, Mr. Cuthbert. Before you witnessed ran her cafe, she had another vocation. She survived by robbing the shipments coming into Ardax Harbor. Wow, that's a little bit of a big bombshell to drop on us. Rika, that's not true, is it? So many things changed after you left, Tyrion. Several years ago, Miss Tudor was part of a band of thieves who had frequently robbed shipments addressed to Von Sanctus Industries. The group was eventually arrested, and she only avoided a sentence to the dungeons by taking a plea deal. Oh my god. Did she seriously do all that in the years I was gone? I knew her. I grew up with her. Had things really changed that much? Even so, the defense still maintains trust in this witness's testimony. I believe the mist-weaving phantom struck the refinery this morning. They attacked Justin Way with magic. Is that so? And how do you know that the current witness isn't the phantom? What? She was coincidentally present when the robbery occurred, and she's a registered mage. Not to mention that her little gang all those years ago used that same name. What? I'd always thought that nickname sounded too much like something she'd come up with. Was she seriously involved with them? Much never back down from a foe, Mr. Cuthbert. Could make a great case for your client by indicting Miss Tudor in the robberies and subsequently the victim's death. What will you do? No. There could be any number of explanations for what was happening. Urban myths tended to be distorted by the public. Possible people have just been calling this thief the mist-weaving phantom because of the similarities between the robberies. Defense has no further questions for the witness. She is dismissed. I thought you were more objective than that. I don't care what she's done in the past. I know my friend. I know she's not a murderer. Clearly, what happened with the boarding was the result of simple negligence. She is just not having it today. She's just fucking with us today. Your Honor, for our next witness, the prosecution would like to call Orm right to the stand. Very well. Bailiff, please call the Inquisition Commander to the stand. Oh boy. Commander, as I'm sure you've heard, Mr. Cuthbert is trying to connect the accident to the robberies of the mist-weaving phantom. Please testify about the City Watch's findings regarding the robberies. Sure. I have no clue where this is going to go. Well, this phantom's been hitting a lot of places, mostly shipments coming into the harbor. Doesn't matter what kind of lock of security the place has, he can get in no problem. He's been off with a bunch of loot, and the City Watch has been scratching their heads looking for him. I know you think the guy hit the refinery too, but it doesn't match with what we know about him. Garnley stole some documents and left the defendant's gold. This guy never does that. Two different thieves? Actually, between the mist-weaving phantom and Justin's death was already difficult to prove. Rika. So we're saying that this phantom is two different thieves. There was no evidence, but they had to be related somehow. It would be too much of a coincidence otherwise. How could I prove that? Mr. Cuthbert, you may begin your cross-examination. Hold it. What is usually stolen? All kinds of things. Goods, appliances, weapons, even some artificery devices. Not to mention there's that. To amend the commander's testimony, there was a sensitive shipment stolen from a kingdom ship. Is there any reason why you're being so vague, Miss Steelman? The gag order has come from the Grand General himself. The item in question is not relevant to the case. I see. Why are you referring to the Phantom as a he? I thought the City Watch didn't know anything about him. Oh, he's seriously nitpicking me for that. Because I'm a misogynist. I just think it would be in the court's interest to not have assumptions taken as fact. Scare Lord, you kids these days, oh no, he's just a boomer. Oh god, Orm. Look, chances are that this guy's a guy. The stats back me up on that. Oh yeah? How many of your men did it take to arrest me, Orm? Celeste, while I appreciate your sentiment, I wouldn't brag about that here. Fine. If you'll get you all fight back, I'll change my damn testimony. Oh, God. Oh, God. See? Was that so hard? Oh, bite me, mage girl. Anyways, how sophisticated were the locks and the security on the places that were broken into? Places owned by the smaller merchants only had mundane locks. Those are hard to pick, but not impossible for someone who knows what they're doing. I've also been hitting the ships owned by nobles, not to mention that other ship that I'm not allowed to discuss. Got magical locks and security. Picking those would be like performing surgery. That's not been mentioned all the armed guards they probably had to get past. Whoever they are, they're some kind of genius. Are they really having that much trouble identifying the thief? They're good at covering their tracks. They don't leave any evidence, and they never trip any alarms. Half the time, it's like they're disappearing into thin air. Could the Phantom be a mage proficient in conjuration magic? They could be teleporting to bypass any security altogether. Maybe. And most security systems are designed to detect and block teleportation inside. You can't teleport inside unless you already have some kind of magical beacon already in place. Not to mention that the locks leading inside were obviously picked and unlocked. Anything, these systems don't prevent teleportation out of its field. Maybe they're just using conjuration magic to get out. I doubt a place like the Arcane Refinery would have such a system as sophisticated as that. Oh my god, did you change this testimony too? How so? The thief had been robbing along merchant ships. Some of them even belonged to Von Sanctus Industries. Places like the Arcane Refinery probably have some gold. He only even mentioned that he had some coins in the safe that got broken into. But all that is below this Phantom's pay grade. Some of the things the Phantom stole were worth 10 times the amount of gold in that safe. So if you mention the fact that sometimes information can be more valuable than gold, Commander. Maybe, but I don't think our guy would ever would risk so much for a couple of business documents. Your client might have some enemies, but the Phantom's good enough to hit the merchant ships guarded by armed soldiers. Every time they hit a place, they run the risk of getting caught. Theft happened this morning where the refinery is already open. Employees were already on the ground, too. Anyone could have spotted him. It just doesn't make sense for the Phantom to take a risk like that for so little gain. This argument is a little weak. I doubt the theft of the refinery was just a coincidence. But he's a point. The serial robber never leaves any evidence. There's nothing to tie him to the theft that morning. Unknown bronze jewels. Where do we go here?
Objection!
Alright, Rainer, it's clear you think the Phantom wouldn't have gone to all that trouble to steal a few business records. It doesn't make any sense. This person has enough skills to break into heavily guarded buildings. I'm amazed I got that first try. Why would they bother with some business records? That's where you're wrong, Orm. Yet why do you always have to do this to me? It's another series of thefts where nothing inherently valuable was taken. Misbehaving Phantom also broke into many of the offices owned by the workers' unions. Again, you're assuming that the Phantom broke into said offices. It's entirely possible that a refinery employee was part of the union stole from both these offices. A union member may have been able to access my client's office. They wouldn't have such an easy time entering the union offices. Many of the unions have anticipated sabotage and have invested in state-of-the-art security systems, taking precautions to make sure that only high-ranking officials have access to these documents. There's only one person with the skills to break into those locations. That's the same thief who's been robbing those ships in the Arcane harbor. And what possible motive would the Phantom have to steal those documents? That's simple. They wanted detailed information about my client's company and the workers' unions.
Objection!
That Arya is not impressed with us today. We are very much, In all of your wild speculation, I think you haven't considered one possibility, Mr. Cuthbert. What's that? The unions themselves were the ones who robbed your client. Say to yourself, only high-ranking executives have access to the union documents that went missing. And none of those executives knew any spells that could rip apart the guardrail. None of them were even mages. That's ridiculous. Why would the workers' union rob themselves? Simple. They wanted to cover their tracks and play the victim when they were the true culprits. After all, we have several reports confirming hostility between your client and the workers' unions, but those are fabricated. I think you'll find that those reports are exaggerated, if not entirely false. My client and Noah Morrison can testify to that fact. They obviously would. An employee just died due to your client's negligence. Mr. Drakagen has every reason to feign amicability with the unions. It would avoid further outrage. Why would Noah Morrison feign it in return, though? And Noah Morrison, has no choice but to do the same, lest he be incriminated in the thefts himself. But how would he be? What proof do you have that they aren't telling the truth? As I've said, I have several reports of many different individuals. Given multiple diverse sources, they all paint a very vivid picture of aggression between your client and the unions. Present them! Furthermore, they are far less biased than Stefanik Drakagen or Noah Morrison. Present them! You had a point. I couldn't claim the reports were false without any proof. Then present them for examination. If you want to implicate Mr. Morrison, I think it's only fair that he be allowed to defend himself. Fine, let him testify. It shall be his word against dozens. Present the reports! It appears that both counsels are in agreement. Not necessarily face your accuser, but at least allow the accuser to face the charges against them. Okay, then please escort Mr. Morrison to the stand. Alright. Hi, boss. Witness, please state your name and occupation for the court. Aye. My name's Noah Morrison. I'm the Harbour Master of Arlax Harbour and Union Chief of the Arlax Industrial Union. Thank you for taking the stand today, Mr. Morrison. As you know that there was a theft that occurred at the refinery this morning. Prosecution is trying to imply that you may have been involved. Yeah, I heard. Please testify about the thefts that occurred at the union offices. It's clear that you also believe they're related to the theft at the refinery. Any details that might help us prove that would help a lot. All right. I don't know where all these reports of hostile tensions came from, but everything's great between Drakagen and us. Whoever this Phantom is, they've got nothing to do with that nonsense. They've been hitting everyone. It's not just our offices of the ships. They've broken into some of the union members' homes, too. These poor blokes had everything stolen from them. They've had to skip town because of it. They were good people, too. It's all that law-abiding citizens. As you can see, Mr. Morrison had very little motive to break into my client's office. The serial theft, meanwhile, has been robbing... The serial theft. The serial thief, meanwhile, has been robbing people all over the city. That's assuming the witness's testimony is true. Take a look at the crime reports. You'll see that a lot of victims were members of the union. I, unfortunately, don't have access to the reports for those. What are you talking about? You're a prosecutor. Why wouldn't you have access to those reports? Not certain. I imagine it's related to the theft that occurred on the Imperial ship this morning. That was strange. Who would have the authority to prevent a Steelwind from accessing those reports? Do you think this is odd, Steelwind? In any case, Arlax is a large city with average rate of crime. There's nothing to prove that any of those thefts are related to this either. Won't present the union reports. doesn't seem to find it's a problem that she can't access certain crime reports that we're talking about right now, so they must be unrelated. If there is even anything that proves that these thefts are related to each other, you would see about that. So you say, look, where are we getting these reports? They're completely wrong. But if these reports came from multiple sources throughout the course of several months, obvious reasons the individuals who made them will remain anonymous, then present the reports. Said reports came from multiple members of the common folk, aristocracy, and law enforcement. We also have several crime reports of violent encounters between your union members and the defendant's employees. What? What's going on here? Mr. Morrison seemed just as confused as I was. Are these reports falsified? Are these encounters happening without its knowledge? Oh, that's also possible. Assuming that these aren't just a string of unrelated thefts. I'll admit that Orlax is a large city. Break-ins weren't exactly non-existent before this. All my colleagues started getting hit after this phantom showed up. That can't be a coincidence. It's entirely possible that the availability bias is at work here. People will always try to draw trends between genuine coincidences. She was being annoyingly obtuse about this, but I wouldn't get anywhere until I could prove she was wrong. These homes are secure as the union offices. Not at all. We're all just ordinary industry workers at the end of the day. Why'd you get to start such a sophisticated security system for the union offices then? Some generous donation from some friends we have at the city banking house. The banking house. Guess there are some folks up there believing what we're doing. Regardless, that means anyone could have broken into those houses. It wouldn't require an expert that's adept at committing robberies as the Phantom is. Banking house. It's not Von Sanctus, but another one of the families. Another one of the four pillars is in charge of banking. I'm blanking on the name now. What would motivate them to leave? Ornax is a hotspot for trade and industry. Lots of jobs here now, but housing's gotten expensive. I think they had to move somewhere cheaper in the countryside. Wait, you're guessing? Did they tell you? Did they tell you why they were leaving? No, a lot of them were really down about it. They didn't seem too eager to say more. I'm sorry that happened. I'm sure they were great people. It's a damn shame. They were good people and they had families to feed. Ornax has been going in such a good direction too. Grind's been down and employment's gone up. Maybe we could have shared that with them. I understand robbing the nobility and even the merchant ships, but I can't believe they were robbing commoners too. A little strange, honestly. They're after valuables. Why would they bother robbing them at all? The house of an industrial worker wouldn't have that much to steal. At least not when compared to the merchant ships. Maybe it's because it was easy? They probably wouldn't have any kind of magical security. Possibly, but that still felt strange to me. I think we're going for...
Objection!
False.
Objection!
That again, alright. Really didn't want to contradict Mr. Morrison, but this was the only piece I had left. There's nothing else that tied the robberies together. I didn't have a full idea of what the Phantom's motive was. I had to do this. It's the only way to find out what was really going on in my city. Mr. Morrison, you said that the targets of the thefts were law-abiding citizens. Unfortunately, that's not entirely true. What are you talking about? I knew most of them. They were good people. Maybe, but there's one unfortunate fact that tied them all together. They were all later arrested for treason against the crown. What? That's ridiculous. There have been no reports of that sort submitted to the City Watch. What you're saying is crazy, my boy. I've known these people. Some of them were close friends of mine. They would have never gotten mixed up in that kind of business. I'm sorry, Mr. Morrison, but I've heard otherwise. Mr. Evening Phantom hasn't just been stealing valuable items. They've been specifically targeting citizens who were secretly plotting against the kingdom. They're part of a larger plot that involves everyone in the city of Aranax. What are you even basing this off of anyways? This testimony came directly from Lloyd von Sanctus, the Duke of Commerce and the ruling Lord of Aranax. Whoa. Lloyd von Sanctus gave you this information. That's right, Steelwind. Lloyd von Sanctus, the plaintiff of this trial. Lloyd von Sanctus, man who would have every reason to have you fail. Tyrion, you may have miscalculated. You seem to be so confident. Perhaps you should have the plaintiff testify so we can know for sure. Did Von Sanctus really set me up? How could I fall for something like that? It made so much sense. Phantom's targets the false reports of hostilities. All would seem to be tied together by some greater plot. There had to be a kernel of truth to what he told us earlier. Maybe he was telling the truth earlier. He might testify honestly if we called him. No. These charges against Dracogen were laid by him. Even if he had told us the truth earlier, he'd never sabotage his own case by taking the stand now. We will contact the Duke of Commerce and ask if he's willing to testify, although I can already imagine what his answer will be.
Objection!
What? And warning, a large man pushed open the door to the courtroom and marched toward the stand. Morrison sputtered a grunt of confusion before he was quickly carried out of the room by two knights who had accompanied him. The man had a large figure that was only dwarfed by the gigantic battle axe that he was holding in his hand. It was covered in scars, and he held the jaded expression of someone who lived in death and combat. The uniform was similar to the prosecutor's clothing. Could he be who I thought he was? Lloyd need not take the stand. My testimony will suffice. What? Who were... Father, what are you... Father? That's your dad? Hello, Lucio Steelwind. Oh, fuck. The head of House Steelwind and the Grand General of Wyvern Guards military. He's apparently responsible for the death of countless revolutionaries. He seems to have a strained relationship with his daughter. This was the Grand General of Wyvern Guard, the man responsible for countless deaths in the countryside. Von Sanctus suspected that he was involved in the thefts and false reports. I have been watching. Neither of you will get anywhere at this rate. Great General, this is quite unprecedented. And... it looked like the judge ran through 1,000 possible responses in his head before simply swallowing his fear and staying silent. Father, why are you... Again with that, I will accept insubordination, even from you, prosecutor. Grand General Steelwind, why have you interrupted this trial? You have testimony that will substantiate the defenses. The what? What? You can't just... Your Honor, do something. No, I think I won't. Fucking Captain America meme. No, I don't think I will. What was he doing? None of this made any sense. I hear no objections. I'll be giving my testimony now. Wait, what? Alright, what the fuck's happening? Oh? Oh, hello. I have Horus. This thief has been striking the houses of multiple commoners, seemingly at random. And without fail, City Watch was called to the scene of the crime. As the prosecutor said, it was clear someone other than the victims was reporting these robberies. After searching each scene, City Watch found evidence of treason within their homes. These individuals were arrested by my men and placed in my custody in secret. Why was I saying so many of his thoughts? I have Horus. Only worked on targets who were unguarded or emotionally stressed. And he looked like the least stressed person in the room right now. It didn't matter who the witness was. This was just another cross-examination. Just need to do what I've always done. Pull the truth out of him. I just hope I can get through this without being charged with treason. Oh boy, alright, it's one of these. Hold it. Or so it would seem, Grand General. Mr. Cuthbert, please refrain from contradicting the witnesses without cause. I was just interpreting the meaning behind his words. It's clear he thinks there's some relation between the thefts. Am I wrong, Grand General? I suppose not. With the serial robber on the loose, the City Watch must have been getting a lot of these calls. Yes, the City Watch recognized a trend. At some point they arrived in anticipation of what they'd find. It was all so carefully orchestrated, each piece perfectly falling in succession. Not sure what you mean by that, Grand General. You've never stopped to ask yourself why. For one thing, the victim isn't always the one to report a crime like this. More often than not, it's the passing neighbor that calls it in. A lot of the reports are made by people who spotted a suspicious person leaving the premises. Do these people make themselves known after the arrest? Do they provide testimony beyond the original report? No, but these reports were made in person, yet each time the City Watch was unable to find the individual who made the report. Is that normal, prosecutor? Okay, I like the turn this is taking. Arya's getting a little bit humbled for completely and utterly. To be fair, Tyrion did come out of this, in the first part of this trial, sounding like an utter lunatic. So she naturally was just kind of shoulder shrugged, dismissing him as a lunatic. And now, her father is here to kind of knock her off the high horse a little bit. Hold it. That was conveniently discovered each and every time. Yes, very easily, I might I add. Was it because the evidence was poorly hidden? Yes, it's not uncommon for the discipline to be so sloppy. Some are even arrogant enough to think they'd never be suspected. The eye of the crown sees more than you'd think. Yeah, he's very clearly, like... He's very clearly putting these thoughts out there on purpose. Hold it. Is that why I haven't had access to those reports? Some caution. Didn't want my enemies to see what moves I was making. Mr. Morrison testified that these individuals had simply moved out of town. I'm sure it looked like that to him, and it wasn't too far from the truth. They were moved by my men to an undisclosed location. Oh, I see. So you're that type of enforcement. You can still burn, but... From what Mr. Morrison said, it sounded like he had a chance to say goodbye to them, not to mention that their families left with them. That didn't sound like what would happen if you were arrested for treason. This was strange. A contradicting thought staring me right in the face. There must be something more to this. Something I wasn't seeing. It's really going to be that easy?
Objection!
Mr. Cuthbert, I know you have a flair for the dramatic, but please don't shout such things at the man with the giant axe. Your Honor, I believe the witness knows more about the arrested individuals than he's letting on. Oh? Mr. Cuthbert, the way the judge was looking at me, I'd have thought I was pulling my head between the jaws of a lion. Just don't sprinkle pepper on your tie. It didn't matter who stood my way, a noble, the Grand General, or the King himself. My mother may have been gone. There were still people I cared about, and Oranax. I wouldn't let the city I grew up in become the site of another one of his bloody massacres. Lucio Steelwind, I think you know that the individuals you arrested aren't what they were reported to be. You know that they weren't guilty of treason. That's correct. What? What?
Objection!
I love how we only saw his pose once, but he does the same pose as his daughter. That's kind of cute. Grand General, Are you admitting that you arrested these individuals with the knowledge that the charges were false? I never said that I arrested them for treason. I said that I took them into custody. But for what reason, Grand General? This Phantom seemed to be targeting certain individuals for some unknown reason. They seem to have targeted both Stefanik Dracogen and the workers' unions as well. Grand General, there's no evidence that... It's the truth, and the evidence must be found. Your Honor, suspend this trial to give the defense and prosecution time to investigate the crime further. Oh, of course, Grand General. As per the Grand General's request, I will be suspending this trial. Court proceedings for this case will resume tomorrow morning. Make it the next day. Court proceedings will resume Wednesday morning. Court's adjourned. Holy shit, he's giving us time. Seems actually quite reasonable. Aye. So, out with it. What? You look like you want to say something. If I didn't know any better, I would think that you tried to help us back there. Can't imagine you care all that much about workers' rights or my client. I have my reasons. This thief stole something quite important from an Imperial ship this morning. Right. Your daughter mentioned that it was a threat to national security. It's in my best interests for the item to be found and this mist-weaving Phantom brought to justice. Most importantly, I want to know who they are working for. Are you trying to insinuate that it isn't you? Is that what you think? Go ahead, say it. Say it, Von Sanctus thought. Honestly, I didn't know what to think at this point. You always seem to arrive at the truth. You always seem to arrive at the truth when no one else will. I've read the court transcripts for your past cases, so I already had some suspicions. And they were all but confirmed when you cross-examined me today. You will figure out what happened this morning, and you will use your eye to do so. Yep, his testimony was very clearly set up to suss that out. I tensed for a moment. Why'd he phrase it like that? Laws were so easy to read during his testimony. Was this some kind of test? I'm sure someone like you will have a great use for an eye like mine. What? I am so sorry. I did not mean it like... I understood what you meant. Well, get to work then. I'll be waiting for your results. I don't take orders from you, Grand General. Yet you will still do what I have asked. It's in your nature. I exhaled heavily. The more this mystery unraveled, the more uncertain I became of everything. I really wished Mr. Moore was here to help me. I could feel a migraine coming on. Hey, are you okay? Yeah, I think I'm just a little exhausted. It's pretty late. Should we just head back to the inn and continue the investigation tomorrow? No, I want to take another look at the refinery before the Inquisition gets there. Oh? Payne and my school seem to disagree with that course of action. Yeah, no, we're heading back to the inn. Fine, really. Tyrion, I know you're anxious about the trial, but you need to get some rest. There's a tinge of irritation, but I knew she was just looking out for me. I couldn't rest now. Not with that serial thief on the loose. Celeste, it's fine. It's not. You're going to work yourself. Would you stand in my way? Oh. Once again, my voice came out louder than I'd meant for it to. Fine, whatever. Do what you want. It's all because I returned to RNX. Just dredging up emotions that needed to stay buried. There was all the more reason to get through this trial as soon as possible. The soreness in my head didn't seem to be going away anytime soon. She was right. I'd be better off investigating this scene after some rest. Oof. Oh boy. The night went on, I found myself falling into another nightmare. Oh hell yeah, let's go. What the? A knock rang out on the door, leading to more law offices. Maybe Demore let out an irritated grumble. Who the hell was bothering her after hours? Don't know who you think you are, but we... She froze when she saw a Frey son standing at her door. His bright blonde hair was covered in dirt and grime. The clothes that she'd seen Frey sew for him, tattered and torn. Looked like he hadn't eaten anything in days. He just stared blankly at her. Oh, what? What are you doing here? How did you even get here? I walked. What? I need to call someone. We need to get you back home. There's nothing there for me. This was her fault. If she'd just taken that deal, his mother would still be alive. Are you going to keep fighting the nobility? Dork's words came out weakly. He sounded like a ghost. What? Miss Tamora, are you going to keep fighting them? Look, that's not important. I need to get you some help. I want to help you fight them. Tyrion! Please, just let me help you. Look, just come inside. I need to get you something to eat. And we can get you cleaned up. The boy said nothing as he clutched the final message that his mother had left him. It was the last comforting memory I'd ever have of her. Something I'd never experience again. Mom. It was another nightmare. It's been a while since I thought of that day. Nightmares are getting worse and worse. I really need to get this case done with as soon as I could. Are you up? Yeah. I felt like I should say something to her after what happened yesterday, but the words didn't come to me. Let's get to work. Yeah. I missed him yesterday, but Crown Prince Astor supposedly saw what happened to Justin during the accident. And I've seen something that Rika missed. I had no idea why the Crown Prince helped me back at Von Sanctus Manor. He seemed more amicable to us than I'd have expected. But finding him in this large city was another matter. I was sure he was hidden away somewhere. There's also something else that Steelwind mentioned during the trial. Yeah, we need to go talk to Rika. One sec. She has collaborators. Rika was supposedly a part of a band of thieves. Their thefts all those years ago seemed to be similar to that of the Phantom. Do you think one of them is involved in all this? I think so. Don't know why she wouldn't speak up about it if it was related to the case. I'll probably have to talk to her next. After all, I doubt it would be easy to get an audience with. As we exited our room, we suddenly came face to face with the Crown Prince. We all stood there, stunned. What was he doing staying at a tavern for commoners? Astor, I mean, Your Highness, Tyrion Cuthbert. You know who I am? That wasn't usually a good sign. I do. I know you very well. Tyrion Cuthbert, the protege of the infamous Ruby Tamora. I'm your biggest fan! But, you believe it, the infamous Tyrion Cuthbert is standing right in front of my tavern room. What? I've read all about your feats, Mr. Cuthbert. You successfully indicted the head of House Pierce. Did you think twice about confronting a member of House Frega? And you'd even defeated the Duke of Commerce in the chess tournament yesterday. Is it bad that I've become dumb to the surprises this week? And you must be Celeste McCoy. You're Tyrion's first client, and the Crimson Demon of the Eastern Kingdom. How did you find out about that name? The Crimson what? Anyways, Your Highness, is it true that you witnessed the accident yesterday morning? Yes, I did. Are you going to interrogate me about what I saw? I'll answer whatever questions you have. Oh my god. Goofy Goober. Big admirer of me, Miss Tamora. Which, I mean, fanboyness aside. Respectable attitude. First Lucio Steelwind. And now the Crown Prince? Why were so many of my supposed enemies being so agreeable this week? Just let an exasperated sigh. I shouldn't look this gift horse in the mouth. First things first. That's an attorney's runestone. It's proof that you're a certified attorney! I've never seen one of those up close before! Really? I thought the Crown Prince would be the first person to have a runestone like this. A runestone, but it's not an attorney's runestone. Finally! Someone understands the difference! A lot of stories about the Crown Prince in the paper, but they never mention you by name. That's intentional. I prefer not to have my name associated with my title. You've done a lot of charity work for the less fortunate, haven't you? Yes, we've hosted so many fundraisers for them. You're not a fan of fundraisers. Not a fan of aristocrats who think they can alleviate their guilt by giving me their spare gold. Oh. That's respectable. I would appreciate if you didn't speak of the Grand General unless necessary. I take it you don't care for him. Could I? My heart aches for the innocent people he slaughtered. All because of these supposed insurrections. If you really feel that strongly about it, why hasn't the royal family done anything to stop him? House Steelwind controls the only military force equipped to maintain order in Wyvengard. Can't say more. Their mages are also the only thing standing between us and war with other kingdoms. They are our greatest asset, while also being our greatest failure. Double-edged sword of Damocles. Ah, Lady Steelwind. I'm glad to see my fiancée is growing into her role. What? She ever told me she was engaged to the Crown Prince? I feel like that's come up before. I wouldn't blame her. She's not exactly pleased with our arrangement. That woman despises me. What? Our marriage is purely political. A way to unify the royal family with the upper brass of the military. I admire her desire to bring prosperity to the common folk. I unfortunately seem to represent everything she hates about this kingdom. She can't even stand speaking to me. Every time around her, she can barely contain her contempt. Oh no. I've made my peace with that. She's always cared more about her duty than anything else. When I take the throne, I will build her a compassionate kingdom that she can take pride in. I really wanted to believe him. I knew better than to trust empty promises like that. I guess only time would tell what kind of ruler he would be. Oh. Is Ruby Tamora here as well? I was wondering if you could put in a good word for me. I've been wanting her autograph. You're the Crown Prince. Couldn't you just ask her herself? Yourself? I've tried. But the last time I saw her, she had very strong words for me. That did make sense. She had more animosity toward the aristocracy than I did. I heard about your chess match with the Duke of Commerce. I wish I could have seen it myself. There wasn't much to see. For all his arrogance, the Duke was a pushover. This makes me regret it more. I would have loved to see that weasel put in his place. Is he one of the kingdom's dukes? I thought you two would be more amicable. No one knows more about the oppression of the Four Pillars than I do. What? Well, well. What else can we talk about? I can't imagine that I'd meet the Crimson Demon of the Eastern Kingdoms. Okay, how the hell did you find out about that nickname? Oh, my position as the Crown Prince makes me privy to stories like that. What is the Crimson Demon, anyways? I don't want to talk about it. Decided to drop the subject. Apparently, the sequel that's in the works for this game is meant to take place around the Eastern Kingdoms. So maybe we'll revisit this then. I can't believe I'm meeting Tyrion Cuthbert. I appreciate the admiration, but I don't see what's so special about me. I've been an admirer of Ruby Tamora for a while, but your story is far more inspiring. You rose above the tragedy that befell your mother, became a force against the nobility. How do you know about that? I read a lot about your story in the paper. A grieving child who walked into the woods in despair. That story made quite an impression on me. I saw the story of Miss McCoy's trial. I recognized you immediately. I'm so glad that you survived. Anyways, back to actual business here. So, Your Highness. Please, there's no need for that. Just call me Aster. He couldn't be serious, could he? After I got a good look at him, he looked sincere. A little too sincere. He carried himself with the poise of a royal, but there was also a warm kindness and humility in his eyes. He sounded too good to be true, but maybe I was just too jaded by the other aristocrats I've met. What is the Crown Prince doing in a tavern like this, anyways? Being described as being far too overbearing. You were insistent that I return to the capital, but I've been planning this trip to Aranax for days. An opportunity to sneak away from them and hired a guard to show me around the city. Talking about Noah Morrison? Ah, yes, Mr. Morrison. We quite a lot about the industrial complexities of Aranax and even more about the workers' unions. Is it really okay if you disappear like that? Kingsguard are probably freaking out over losing track of you. They worry far too much. I can take care of myself. I may not look it, but I'm one of the most powerful mages in this kingdom. Conjuration? That was awfully cocky, don't you think? You think so? There was so much optimism behind those eyes. How sheltered was this guy? All of it. Anyways, Mr. Morrison told us that you were present when the accident occurred. It was quite dreadful what happened. I only have one witness who actually saw Justin fall into the vat. I was wondering if you saw anything she didn't. I didn't see much, I'm afraid. It all happened very quickly. If you weren't yelling at that animal, I wouldn't have even noticed him. There was an animal on the catwalk, too? What? Must be some kind of hairless rodent. It was abnormally large. I think he may have been trying to catch it. He even grabbed it at one point. Was he facing toward Dracogen's office when he was yelling at this rodent? I think so. Noah pointed out the office window earlier. Allowed Stefanix to oversee the refinery. Did you see anyone else on the catwalk? No, my view of the catwalk was limited by my position. Hairless animal. This whole time I thought Justin had been yelling at the phantom, but it turned out it was just yelling at a rat. It seemed the only person who spotted the thief that day was Justin. Did you see the moment that Justin fell in? Was he pushed off the catwalk by a spell? I am not quite sure, but I definitely saw something magical. There was a flash of magical light centered on his position. The magical energy took the shape of a prism before blowing apart the guardrail. Justin lost his balance afterwards and fell into the vat. Did you see what this spell looked like? Do you think you could identify it for us? The problem is that I'm almost sure that it wasn't a spell. It's the effect of some sort of artifact. Ah, thank you. Yeah, we're here now. How can you be so sure? It's difficult for someone who's not a mage to understand. When a mage casts a spell, they draw and harness the aether from within their own body. Artificer, on the other hand, draws aether from the natural ley lines that run through the ground. I am someone who has practiced arcane magic for my entire life. I slowly learned how to sense how aether moves around me. You do that too? I thought I was the only one. You can do that? Oh, that talent is quite a rarity. Even amongst the royal family. I suppose I shouldn't expect anything less from the Crimson Demon. Stop calling me that. I want to see those two side by side. Not quite similar enough. Similarly white-haired. So you could feel the aether was moving toward the source of that spell. Yes, it was quite distinct before because of how high up he was. Like if that's a trait of the royal family, that would be a hell of a thing. Since the aether rising out of the ground to his position on the catwalk, the guardrail was broken apart by this artificer? Is that why there weren't any traces of magic up there? No. Artificery simply replicates the effects of an arcane spell. They leave traces of magic, just like spells cast by a mage do. It also means that our culprit wasn't necessarily a mage. Anyone could have used a device like that. Not necessarily. What do you mean? The amount of aether being drawn was considerable. It's of a much higher quality than what most artificery devices are capable of. Whatever that device was, it was quite advanced and dangerous. Something like that wouldn't be commonly available to the public. The military would definitely have access to a weapon like that, too. And they would definitely want it back. Pointed to Lucio Steelwind, that just made his actions during the trial all the more bizarre. I mean, like, yeah, sure, it could point to Lucio Steelwind, but it could also point to the giant forbidden, the big forbidden shipment that he really very much wants back. What can you tell me about Grand General Steelwind? The Grand General is a difficult man to speak of. And in recent days, his name alone carries the weight of thousands of slaughtered innocents. I take it you don't much care for him. Not many do. Even the most heartless monster would see little sense in his bloody conquest of the countryside. It surprised me he took the stand at the trial yesterday. I'm sure it's just another plot to undermine the other families. I really hoped my arranged marriage to Lady Steelwind would sate his thirst for power. It seems to have just made it worse. Wait, what'd you say? No, of course. I suppose most outside the nobility wouldn't be aware of it. My father and the Grand General have arranged for me to marry Lady Steelwind. Oh, what? She never told me she was engaged to the Crown Prince. Okay, yeah, we've seen this part. Oh no. Okay, yeah, we've seen that part. I've been hearing an awful lot about how the serial robber stole that item from your ship. Ah, that. The King's Guard have been scrambling around trying to find it. You able to tell me what they stole? I don't know. Having a lot of trouble pinning down what the thief was after. They infiltrated your ship. They were taking a gigantic risk. They wouldn't have done that without a good reason. And they stole several high-capacity arcane crystals attuned to the school of evocation. And crystals are pretty common, aren't they? They will draw and provide power to artificery devices. Problem is that they are attuned to evocation, the most raw and destructive school of magic. Artificery that uses evocation is heavily supervised by the kingdom, and most devices that use them are extremely weak. Those crystals were a shipment addressed to Von Sanctus Industries. They're meant to be received at port and used to construct weapons for use by the military. Are these crystals really that valuable? They have a large capacity to channel evocation magic. They're extremely potent at unleashing energy. Wrong hands can produce an explosion with the power to level an entire block of the city. And there have been mass reports of insurrection here, too. Whether those reports are true or not, my teeth clench at the thought of what someone might do with those crystals. It's even worse to think about what the Grand General might do to stop that from happening. Okay, I think that answers all my questions. Thank you, Asta. Of course, I'm just happy to help. So I was hoping that the Crown Prince had spotted the thief, but all he saw was some hairless rodent. I just need to look into my other leads and hope that they would lead somewhere. Okay, time to move somewhere else. See who's here, and didn't seem keen on talking at the moment. True. Oh, that's fair. We did kind of snap at her and not apologize. We do need to do something about that. That'll be for next time. Until then, man, that popped off in a hurry. Until then.